Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Unison. The name Unison, or the word unison, means a state of perfect agreement or harmony. Example, different instruments that are playing the same pitch or simultaneously, or basically it means that are together. So I'm creating this channel so that we can all just spend a little time together. It is about little projects we're going to do. In reality, it is all about just spending a little time together to try and create something that takes our mind off all of the everyday things in life. So our first little project that we're going to make is what they call a lantern, or some call it a Betty lamp, what have you. Basically, is what it consists of is four little elements. We have just a jar, we have a liquid, we have a holder, we have a wick, and we have fuel. And basically all we're going to do is we're just going to create this little lantern. Now the whole idea of this lantern is that it is used as an emergency thing, obviously. This is some little thing that you could make up. You know, have 2 or 3 of these laying around. The nice thing is that you can just blow it out, put the lid back on it, and carry it with you in a backpack if you're out camping, for an example. I mean, it is going to be all, not to worry about anything that's going to leak, any of the fuel that's going to come out of it. And that's basically what the little lamp is all about here. So to create this little project, we're going to just use a plain old jar. It could be a mason jar. This happens to be like a tomato paste jar or tomato sauce. We're going to use that obviously for the holder. We're going to create our own wick, and we're going to try a different type of fuel today. And we have this little item. And this little item happens to be what is going to hold the wick. So this is going to be the first priority, is to get this organized. And basically, this is a piece of a light fixture. It's just an old thing. You can buy these at Home Hardware, Walmart, wherever. I mean, Amazon. It's just basically a shaft, and it has a canopy. So this would actually attach to the ceiling of and the light fixture would actually attach with a screw or what have you, or a nut, and that would what holds that fixture to that ceiling. So what we're going to do is take this little piece out, and we are going to get rid of the strap. Now, mind you, this little piece of pipe that we use, there are different people that have really nice projects online, and they use a piece of 1/4-inch copper tubing. I mean, there's a multiple of things that you can use. Now, our wick today is basically going to be made of a cotton string, and we'll get to that shortly. But first of all, we need this, and we need some copper. I'm going to set that off to the side, and we're going to need some copper wire to make our holder out of. Now, I'm going to be moving the camera around, and I'm not that good at it by any means, but we're just going to fumble away as best we can and go from there. This particular piece of wire is a 12-2 house wire, and this is what we use in Canada. And this, of course, this is a 12-3. A 10 wire, which is a size bigger than this, would be used for like dryers or that type of stuff. It can be used, any type of these coppers can be used. I just find that number 10 is a little rigid to try and bend around this type of thing. It is certainly solid. There is also a 14 gauge wire, a 14-2, which most people use, for an example, is also used accordingly. And that works too. It's just I just find that the 12 is a little more stable. So is what we're going to do here, first of all, is we're just going to take one of these wires, and we're going to take it and cut it off. And we're going to make it, you know, roughly 2 feet. I mean, there'll be lots left over with that. The first thing we have to do, I'm actually working at my bench, so I have a shelf in front of me. First thing we're going to do, and I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit. I have a thing here. I'm going to take this knife, and I have a vise here in the corner, and we're going to lock this wire into the vise. And we're going to take this wire like this, and we're going to strip this coating off. Now, there are of course different ways of doing this. Just take it off. I happen to do this at one time a lot, so I can strip it fairly easily. As you can see, the coating doesn't take long to come off. Now, as you've noticed at the start of the video of that, when I showed the wire, is that the wire is all bent and kinked, and it's just from the way it's wound. So there are a number of ways to get this straight, so we can actually use this to so it's easier to bend and looks a lot prettier. Not that that's a real issue, but my favorite way of bending that wire is to use a drill. This is just any type of drill. This happens to be a 20. It doesn't matter what the drill is, it's no big deal. What we're going to do is we're going to put this wire into this chuck. And this is going to get a little loud, I'm sure, but please cover your ears or whatever. That's what we're going to do is take the drill like this, and we're going to spin the wire. And because it's in the vise, we want it to twist. And as it twists, you will see that it starts to get straighter and straighter and straighter. Now, that's what that also does, is it actually makes the wire, as it tightens, it also cranks it and makes it a little bit tighter. So now as you can see, that the wire is perfectly straight, and now it's a lot firmer. It doesn't just bend what it did. Okay, so now we're going to take this wire out, and of course here's what it looks like now. So let me just adjust here for a second. I'll just get a little bit lower here. And now this is what it looks like. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our little piece of pipe, and we're going to take some tools, and this just happens to be a rusty old set of channel locks, which is nothing spectacular. We're just going to hold on to this. I'm just going to grab it like this into the pliers. So I've got the teeth that are holding it. That's what we're going to do, is we're just going to wrap that wire around. And we want it to wrap, pull fairly tautly as you're doing it there. And we want to go around 3 or 4 times like this. Okay, this is what we have. Now this of course isn't pretty by any means, but as you can see, we can still thread this pipe inside here. So now this is what we have. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take our pair of linesman's pliers that we have, and we're going to go to the end, and we're just going to chop off that little tail, and then we're going to take these and we're going to kink them together. So we're basically just going to kind of clean that up just a little bit. Okay, now we have this. We'll thread back into the hole. There we have it. Okay, now we're going to bring over our lantern, or our mason jar. And on our mason jars, what we want to try and do with this is we need this on the inside, and we want this one actually has measurements on, not that that matters. We want this to be roughly in the middle. And the reason for that is you want it, to me, it gives the nicest light. I like to look at the flame inside there. I mean, you could have it right out to the top. We could cut a hole right in the lid and not use the cover whatsoever. But we want to do this. So what we've got to do is bend this to fit in the hole. So our first measurement is going to be setting that on there. And we're just going to roughly guess inside the glass. So we're just going to pinch that like that. And we're going to take our pliers, and with our pliers, we're going to bend on a 90 degree. Just like so. Just like so. Just bend that over. Okay. And this is what we have so far. Just this. So that's how that's going to sit inside the jar, just like that. Now, that's what we want to do next, is we want to get our fingers to the bottom, and we want this to be half. Now, this, of course, can be adjusted on that wire. So this is really irrelevant at this point. So that's what we're going to do, is take the wire like this, and then we're going to bend up on this, like this. So now we have this lovely little figure, and we're going to look for something round, so we can get something to fit in the jar. Now, this just happens to be a little jar of solder. I mean, it doesn't have paste, actually. It doesn't really matter. It's flux, but you see, it fits in that jar. So now is what we're going to do, is we're going to take this, and we're going to hold this on like this, and we're going to bend this around this jar just a couple times, just like that. And now this is what we're left with. Take our jar out, put it away, and this is the lovely item that we now have. Okay, so you see it stands up by itself, and it's hard to see, but it will technically be almost in the middle of the jar. Now, that's what we want to do, but we want to be able to take this little device here, and we want to be able to pull it out of the jar, so we can light the wick, because it's going to be so far down. So we're going to make a little handle, bend it back up. So now we have the one going down that we originally had, right? And you can see it isn't perfect by any means, and it doesn't have to be for right now. We have it like that, and then we have this on the end. So that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to try and get this so it sits in the middle of the jar. As you can see, it is kind of bent a little crookedly. So we can now just obviously fix this around. We can bend this up so it's kind of straight, kind of like that. And now we can shove this in the jar. So we're just going to, now this just happens to work out that it's almost perfect to fit into the bottom of the jar. And now it fits in there. And if you can see from the top, it is pretty close to center. It's actually not too bad the way it sits. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and this is where I had it in the vise, so I could have had a little bit more wire. So I'm just going to take a second with my knife here, and I'm going to strip off that remainder of that piece of wire there. And we just want to get it pretty close to the end, kind of like that. So we're going to take this piece and we're going to cut this off. Oh, like so. And then we're going to put that back in the jar. So now there we have it. So now you can see it's all off a little bit on the sides, but that's okay. So now is what I want to do is I'm just going to take this and just bend this over a little bit. And all of this is just so you can simply grab it. And we're going to take our thing like that. And as you can see, we almost have it made perfectly. Almost. Now we can take this out. And of course we can just open up this a little bit. That'll make it a little bit tighter to the walls. And it doesn't quite go to the center, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our pliers, and all we're going to do is just tighten this around a little bit more. And as we tighten it, of course, it's going to pull it back towards this shaft. And now as we drop it in, we just have to straighten a little bit. Well, we basically have it where we want it, kind of like that. So that's not bad. I'm just going to bend a little bit more here. And there we have it. That's it. So we have our lamp. We have our thing here, so I'm going to pull this back out. And the copper, of course, is pretty flexible, so you can actually just adjust this a little bit too, and we can straighten things out a little bit more here, and twist and play and get it like that, and so on. But I mean, for the most part of it, though, it is completed. Okay. And that's what we want. It's just something that looks like that. And that's all it is to hold it. So there we have our lantern base. We have the mason jar. Now we've got to make our wicks. Now, to make our wick, I'm going to shine this over here. I'm going to put this towards my vise. Now, I have here just a butcher string. And I mean, we want something that's cotton, and we're going to cut off about 3 feet. And we're going to take another one about the same. And they don't have to be 100%. I mean, it's nice to line them up here, of course, and that doesn't really matter. I mean, we want it fairly close here, because this is going to be lots of string. There we go. Set that over there. Now, what we're going to do to start off our wicks, the reason I have 2 of the strings is I'm going to braid these, and we're going to make it so it's going to fit into this pipe. It's going to fit quite snugly. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to teach you a simple way to braid. And all we're going to do is grab the 2 strings like this. All we're going to do is just make a loop with our fingers and pass that string through there just like that. That's it. Now we're going to take this piece, we're going to put this into the vise and hold it securely. And I'll go a little bit higher here so you can kind of see. Excuse the mess in the garage here. Like that. Now, to braid this string, what we're going to do is we're just going to, because it'll move inside the slip knot, we want to pull this out. We want to open this. And basically what we want to do is we want to just reach through with our fingers and we want to grab that string and pull it tightly. Right? And now this is all we want to do. I like to keep the loose part on the top, not that it matters. Right? And this is how we're going to braid. And all we're going to do is just keep pulling this through. Like this, all we do is just keep reaching through, grabbing the string, pulling it through, pulling it a little bit tight, pulling it backwards, and we're just going to continue this, just like this. Just like this, and to just carry on until we have the string basically almost used up. So this is a lot simpler than trying to do it with 3 strands. And all you just keep on doing is looping in between, pulling through this until we get it. Now mind you, you've seen in the pipe, although it sits in the bottom, we don't have to have a whole lot of string like this. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and I'll show you how to finish this loop now. Now that we have our loop like this, we're going to grab the tail, and we're going to take the tail, we're going to pull it right through like that until it tightens on itself. And here we have our braiding. Let the camera focus here. You see how it braided it? Okay. Now, that's the wick, and now we're going to come back to our little section here where we were, and here we are. So now we have our wicks made. That's what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these ends and we're going to feed it up from the bottom. Now I have this upside down, and not that it matters if it's upside down, but I'm going to show you what I did here. This shaft was a little bit longer. I cut this with a hacksaw. This shaft was probably about double the length, and I cut it. And the reason I cut it is because now there's a burr, so I just kind of moved off the thing, but inside there, you'll see how it's a little bit tighter than it is on that side. Right? It doesn't look like much, but there's a little burr in there. Now, the reason the burr is in there is that when we take this and we shove our string through, that on the bottom end, that string and that stuff is going to get stuck against that burr. So all I'm doing is pushing this through. And you'll see that this here, see, as I push through, it's going to be quite forceful to push it through now. And as it goes in, and it comes out the other end, we're going to get out past the starting knot, and then we're going to have this left in the jar. So now what we want to do is we want to take this piece, cut this off. We have that. And now at the bottom end, we're going to take our tails and we're going to cut them off, just like this. So now we have our wick. And we're going to take our little fancy little wick and we're going to shove it back up inside here like this. And that is our candle thing. So we want to have this sitting, but we don't want it to be getting caught on the bottom of the thing. I'm going to show you in a second here. I'm going to shove this back in, like so. And you can see on the bottom how that just coils up and sits there. And there we have it. That's what our lantern is. So on that note, is what we want is on the top, we want this to be almost flush with the top of that, of our piece of pipe. And the reason being is if it sticks up too high, it's going to, smolder and soot and have like black that's going to come off because of the oil. Now, that's what the oil that we use. Today am using a liquid paraffin. So we just want to throw it into here. And that's what we want to do is give it a couple minutes. And it doesn't take much in there. I mean, this would probably last quite a while, the way it sits, 6 to 8 hours, something like that. But we want that fuel to come up into that wick and absorb in there. So in the meantime, I'm just going to pick this up, clean up a little bit here. Now, there again, this isn't maybe something that you would use all the time, but the whole idea of this project is we've just created something that just took us 20 minutes to make. Simple little products, but you know what it did? It took 20 minutes off of the stress and worry about what has gone on through our day, through the busy times that we have. And it's just given us a little bit of a break that we can just relax, that we've created something, and we've made ourselves a nice little lantern. And there's your lantern. And as you can see, it'll get quite bright. And it works very, very good. And it'll last for hours. Simple little project, a little bit of fun, takes your mind off of stuff. If nothing else, take it camping, take it whatever. Simply blow it out, put the lid on it, throw it in a backpack, put a couple in cold storage or something in a shelf in the house. You can move it around. It's not going to hurt, nothing like that. You just take it out, just let it sit there. Reach in there, grab your little piece of thing from the top with your finger, grab a little piece like this, pull it up, get your flicker, light her up, and your light is ready to go. Oops, I just put it out. Put that out, and there's your lantern. And like I said, it'll burn for a long time. Now this paraffin doesn't give it much fumes, so which is really good. But there's our first project. I'm certainly glad that everyone was able to join me. You can leave comments below on it. It is a simple project, and like I said, this is a channel to help everybody. I'm glad you could join me. Anyways, this is Unison, and I hope you'll join me for the next one, and we'll see you later.